Hello everyone, and I'm Talon Dixon, and welcome to First Chapter Friday. Today I'm reading Stick by Andrew Smith. They call me Stick. I am 6 feet tall, an inch taller than my brother Boston, who is in 11th grade. I'm 13 and a stick. My real first name is Stark, which in my opinion is worse than being called Stick. It was my great-grandfather's name, and I suppose my parents were all into connecting with our roots or something when they decided to put it on me. My great-grand-stick lived and died in Ireland, and I never once set eyes on me in his entire life. But I'm pretty sure he'd call me Stick too, if he ever had. A lot of times after people learn my name, they'll say things like, "Oh, what an unusual name," which to me sounds the same as, "Look at that poor, deformed boy." And when they learn that I don't care to be called Stark, they'll offer some consolation. "I'll bet you'll come to like that name when you're grown up." The only things I can think of that people like more after they grow up are alcohol and cigarettes. My parents smoke all the time. I am as unremarkable as canned green beans. It bothers me when people stare at me. Most of the time they can't help doing it on account of my missing right ear. Besides that, with first names like ours, my brother and I may just as well walk around waving signs saying, "Look at us." At least where we grew up, in Washington State, boys were all pretty much expected to have names like Chip or Robert. But not Boston and Stark McClellan Stick. The world sounds different to me than it does to anyone else. Pretty much all of the time, it sounds like this. Half of my head is quiet. I was born this way. Most people don't notice it right away, but once they do, I see their faces, and I watch how they'll move around toward that side, the one with the missing part, so they can see what's wrong with me. So here, look at me. I'm ugly. When you see me at first, I look like just another teenage boy, only too tall and too skinny. Square on, staring into my headlights, you're probably going to think I look nice. A handsome kid, even green eyes, brown hair, a relaxed face from not smiling too much, probably. But then get around to that side and you see it. I have what looks like the outline of a normal boy's ear, but it's pressed down into flesh, squashed like potter's clay. No hole, a canal they call it. Nothing gets into my head that way. I can't easily hide it because my dad won't let me grow my hair long. He yells at me if I wear a hat indoors. He says there's nothing wrong with me, but I'm ugly. You see what I'm doing, don't you? I am making you hear me, the way I hear the world. But I won't do it much, I promise. I know what you can do. I know what you can do to you to not have that hole there. Humans need that hole, so things can get out. Things get into my head and they bounce around and around until they find a way out. My mother never talks about my ear. She hardly ever talks to me at all. I believe she's sad, horrified. I think she blames herself. Mostly I think she wishes I was never born. So, that was Stick by Andrew Smith. I highly recommend you check this book out, and thank you for joining me.